ここに突っ立っていてもじきに飛んでくる岩を浴びるだけだ。すぐさま準備に取り掛かる。
俺たちは今から死ぬんですか？
そうだ。
どうせ死ぬなら最後に戦って死ねということですか？
そうだ。
いや、どうせ死ぬならどうやって死のうと、命令に背いて死のうと意味なんかないですよね。
全くその通りだ。全くもって無意味だ。どんなに夢や希望を持っていても、幸福な人生を送ることができたとしても、岩で体を砕かれても同じだ。人はいずれ死ぬ。ならば人生には意味がないのか。そもそも生まれてきたことに意味はなかったのか。死んだ仲間もそうなのか。あの兵士たちも無意味だったのか。いや違う。あの兵士たちに意味を与えるのは我々だ。あの勇敢な死者を、哀れな死者を思うことができるのは聖者である我々だ。我々はここで死に、次の聖者に意味を託す。それこそ唯一この残酷な世界に抗う術なのだ。兵士を怒れ、兵士を叫ぶ、兵士を叩け。
First and foremost, this video is not for the people that just don't like Gabi. You can like or dislike a character for whatever trivial reasons, it does not matter to me. This video is specifically for those who take it a step further and brand Gabi as a bad character because of their own preferences. I'll structure this video by tackling the problem people have with Gabi first, then I'll get into the main critiques of Gabi's character, and finally, I'll transition to why I believe Gabi is a good character. The first place I want to start is the catalyst for the influx of the Gabi hatred, Chapter 105. Everyone and their baby mama knows what I'm alluding to, which is the death of Sasha. There has been so many people up in arms about Sasha's death, wondering, how could this happen? Sasha was such a sweet, fun-loving character. And then they turn their attention to Gabi to demonize her. I can understand speaking from emotion. I'd be a hypocrite if I said I didn't do the exact same thing when that chapter rolled around. But it's been a year and a half since that incident, and people are still not using logic to understand why Gabi had the audacity to kill Sasha. Perception is reality, folks. When looking at this particular situation, we had to get in the same frame of mind as Gabi to condemn or condone her actions. Gabi is a 12-year-old Eldian girl born and raised in Marley. Gabi belongs to a nation that treats Eldians as subhuman, going as far as to force Eldian parents to teach their children biased history to further oppress them. In Marley's version of history, it is ingrained in kids that Eldians are cursed with Titan blood, therefore they should be labeled and treated as devils. This sentiment goes double for the people of Paradise Island, who are thought of as the worst of the worst. Gabi, as an impressionable 12-year-old child, absorbs this information and believes in it wholeheartedly. To make matters worse, Gabi's very first experience with a person from Paradise Island was Eren killing Willie Tiber in grandiose fashion and stage diving into a crowd of people, being the direct cause of her friend Zophia's death and being the indirect cause of her friend Udo's death. With Gabi being taught for years that the people of Paradise Island were irredeemable devils, Eren confirmed that narrative, causing Gabi's resentment towards Paradisians to skyrocket for two reasons. The first, most obvious reason is because Eren is invading her homeland and killing the people close to her. The second reason is because Eren completely undermined the hard work of Gabi. With the negative stigma around Eldians, Gabi took it upon herself to prove to the world that she and other Eldians were good people. But with the fellow Eldian doing his best Godzilla impression, the reputation of Eldians was inevitably going to plummet to hell. So with that, it should be clear as to why Gabi would detest Eren, but this hatred doesn't stop at him. It extends to all of the Paradisians. We, the readers, had the luxury of knowing that the reality of the situation was that Eren went rogue, and the Survey Corps reluctantly had to cover for him by attacking Marley. However, again, perception is reality. From the vantage point of Gabi, all she knows is that the Paradisians decided to invade Marley. She doesn't know they were played by Eren as well. All of that is to say one thing. To Gabi, Sasha is the enemy. In her eyes, Sasha is in cahoots with Eren, who is shown to be every bit as bad as Marley and said Eldians were. Sasha's good nature, her kindness, her quote-unquote innocence is irrelevant. I'll go a little more in depth about the Eren and Gabi parallels later, but in the same way Eren, way back in the Clash of Titans arc, wanted to see both Reiner and Bertholdt suffer without any consideration for their standpoint, Gabi is the same way, or was the same way, and she is 3 years younger than Eren was. Putting it in the most simple way possible, to Gabi, Sasha was an op, so she got popped. I'm all for different perspectives, but if you still cannot see the justification in Gabi killing Sasha after everything I said, then I don't know what to tell you. Now I'll get into the critiques of Gabi, starting with the easiest ones first. Trashy, bratty, annoying, Mary Sue. These are the words being used to describe Gabi from what I've been exposed to. So let's start with the trash critique. Ironically, this is the critique that stinks like garbage. Why? Because it's a lazy buzzword that enlightens no one. I'm not saying you can't call something or someone trash, but if you don't explain why you think this way, then acknowledging a half-ass critique like that is a waste of time. Moving on to the bratty part, and I'll lump annoying in too since I believe these critiques are getting to the same point. I actually don't have an issue with those two descriptions of Gabi. While I don't find Gabi annoying, I can admit these feelings are completely subjective, and I can kinda see why people will find Gabi annoying. I will say though, I believe Isayama intentionally wrote Gabi to be antagonistic and controversial for readers. However, that means nothing because intent doesn't do much to change one's feelings. Even still, just like the trash critique, I wish the bratty and annoying critiques would have an explanation behind it, but it's more acceptable to me because it highlights something more specific about Gabi's character, although not totally clear. The last critique is the Mary Sue argument, which, bruh, I don't even know how to begin. This one came out of left field. I think folks were reaching like Mr. Fantastic with this one, but nonetheless, let's get into it. So for the people not in the know, I'll define what a Mary Sue is, and the literal definition is supposed to only apply to fanfiction characters, but we'll flex it for the sake of argument. A Mary Sue is a type of female character who is depicted as unrealistically lacking in flaws or weaknesses. And there you have it, folks. So apparently to other people, Gabi, one of the most despised characters in Attack on Titan because of her one-sided mind, because of her misguided thinking, because of her annoying attitude, is also somehow flawless. Now, let me give you the other definition of a Mary Sue that people actually mean but don't outright say. A Mary Sue is an original character in fanfiction, usually but not always female, who for one reason or another is deemed undesirable by fan critics. A character may be judged Mary Sue if she is competent in too many areas, is physically attractive, and or is viewed as admirable by other sympathetic characters. In my estimation, people who simply don't like Gabi for whatever reason, but want to offer a critique that sounds more effective, just throw out the word Mary Sue to slander her, but it makes no sense whatsoever. Based on how these lot have been judging Gabi, the word Mary Sue is contradicting the other criticisms made. One could describe a character as a Mary Sue if they are always right, never facing real adversity, especially in their ideals, but that is so far from Gabi's character, I'm left questioning people's sanity. The only basis for one to call Gabi a Mary Sue is because she's a prodigy child soldier who has been capable of grand feats in the series, but again, that's not what a Mary Sue is. To all the people who complain about Gabi's competence as a soldier, Gabi has been hailed as a prodigy since her introduction, and if we know she was the favorite to inherit the Beast Titan, what makes her actions so out of the realm of possibility given her character as presented? I'm going to go off track for a bit, so forgive me guys, but I'm covering all bases. I'll give you a timestamp if you want to skip this mini rant. I seen someone try to expose Gabi's Mary Sue nature by pointing out she was able to use the Survey Corps gear to hop aboard the airship. This person said that since Eren and company trained for 3 years to master the 3D maneuver gear, Gabi knowing how to use the Survey Corps gear was BS. First, we don't know if Eren and company trained for 3 years specifically to master the 3D maneuver gear. That's an unknown claim. Second, and most importantly, the gear that the Survey Corps used after the time skip is not the same as it was 4 years ago. If you have 2 working eyes, you can obviously see the grapple hook is now attached to their guns, and it's as easy to use as pulling a trigger. Lastly, Gabi used the gear to travel upward. Even if you have a problem with Gabi knowing how to use the simple to use gear, she didn't start flying around the city like Batman or Spider-Man. She traveled up and that's it. Rant over. Finally, I'll get into the reasons as to why I believe Gabi is a good character. Now, what makes a character good is highly dependent on who you ask. Some of the common attributes though are complexity, having development, being goal-oriented, staying relevant, the list goes on and on. What doesn't make a character bad though is them having personality traits that don't appeal to you. For example, I may dislike Light Yagami because he is a lying sociopath, but in no way does that mean he is a bad character. Now on to Gabi. When looking at the multiple components that make up a good character, Gabi fits the bill in many respects. First, Gabi is relevant and has a presence in the plot. Gabi was one of the primary focuses of the Marley arc, being instrumental in the victory over the Mid-East allied nations, being related to Reiner, being a potential successor of the Armored Titan, and killing Sasha. Gabi has also went through an enormous amount of growth, going from a hard-headed self-hating racist to understanding the error of her ways and attempting to rectify her mistakes. Gabi also successfully embodies the realistic theme of blind ignorance. With elements of war and prejudice becoming more abundant in Attack on Titan since the time skip, it seems to me that Isayama has been trying to mirror the real world to the world of Attack on Titan. Racism is a real issue worldwide. It thrives on ignorance and is allergic to knowledge. What Gabi shows us is the result of living in a bubble. Gabi is a product of her environment. She lives in a nation that hates her people and it shaped her being until she ventured out and learned that the people she blindly despised were no different than her. This ties into the parallels between Eren and Gabi, who are 2 different sides of the same coin. You might remember when Eren said he wanted to kill all the Titans. Back then, he lived in a bubble where Titans were just monsters killing people that he loved until he got informed. Post the basement reveal, after Eren learned about the origin of the attacked Titans and that Titans were actually Eldians, Eren, on his way past the walls, encounters a Titan crawling, but instead of killing it like Eren of old would have done, he actually shows sympathy for the Titan, calling it one of his compatriots. Gabi wanted to kill all the Paradisians to rid the world of these perceived devils, but after seeing people like the Blouse family who welcomed her with open arms, seeing someone like Mikasa who saved her despite what she did to Sasha, seeing someone like Nale who protected an enemy Falco, Gabi's newfound information about Paradisians forced her to start thinking differently. While Eren's blind ignorance applied to fictional Titans, Gabi's character gave us a more realistic viewpoint of the same theme, since this time it was being applied to actual people. The very last point I want to say before I close this out is that the mere fact that Gabi has sparked such a reaction out of the community is a sign of a good character. Now, being controversial doesn't mean that a character is great, but evoking emotions from fans, negative or positive, is a step in the right direction. It shows that people are passionate enough to care to give that character their attention. Gabi is one of the most talked about characters post time skip, and to this day, unboxing people who try to ridicule her character. That in itself, ladies and gentlemen, means that Gabi is worth time dedicated to these debates, arguments, and discussions. And actually, one more criticism I forgot to tackle is the whole Gabi is a carbon copy of Eren thing. And I can kind of see it somewhat. They do have similarities. Even Armin remarked how Gabi reminded him of a certain someone. And of course, that certain someone was referencing Eren. So Gabi and Eren, I think when it comes to their personalities, when it comes to their demeanor, are very similar, but I don't think Gabi is a carbon copy. I don't think she's a femme version of Eren, all right? Because where the characters are, sure, they started off the same, but they branched off to completely different spectrums. And I think that's Isayama just showing us, under the right circumstances, this is where Eren could have ended up, or anybody in a series could have ended up. So yeah, I don't really buy into that, but I could kind of see where people are going with that. All right, so guys, that's pretty much all I wanted to say on Gabi, all right? I have these discussions and arguments much too often. So if you attack me in the comment section, don't be surprised if I don't even say nothing, because I am honestly exhausted with it. I am tired, all right? But guys, that is it for the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Satsuki the Savage, out.
Am I dying to live, or am I living to die? Living a lie, with my hands stressed out, see I'm